5 signs your partner is manipulating you. Don't ignore number 3. You apologize constantly even when you've done nothing wrong. You second-guess decisions you used to make confidently. You feel like you're walking on eggshells in your own relationship. Here's what you need to know. You're not overly sensitive, difficult, or broken. You're being manipulated. And the reason you can't see it clearly is because manipulation works by making you doubt your own perception. By the end of this video, you'll understand the 5 psychological manipulation tactics toxic partners use. And sign number 3 is the one most people completely miss until the damage is already done. Sign 1, they make you question your own memory and perception. Gaslighting. Let's start with one of the most insidious forms of manipulation, gaslighting. This is when your partner denies your reality, contradicts your memory, and makes you doubt your own perceptions to the point where you can no longer trust yourself. And this isn't about occasionally disagreeing on details or remembering things differently. This is systematic undermining of your confidence in your own mind. Here's what it looks like. You remember a conversation clearly. You remember an event. You remember a promise they made. And when you bring it up, they tell you flat out that it never happened. I never said that. That didn't happen. You're remembering wrong. And this isn't occasional forgetfulness. This is consistent denial of things you absolutely know occurred. Or maybe you experienced something directly. They yelled at you. They said something hurtful. They did something that upset you. And when you bring it up, they tell you that you didn't experience what you think you experienced. You're being too sensitive. You're overreacting. That's not how it happened. You're twisting my words. One person told me their partner yelled at them and called them names during an argument. An hour later, when they tried to address it, the partner said they spoke firmly but never yelled. When they insisted the partner absolutely did yell, the response was, "You're being dramatic and twisting what happened. This is exactly why we can't have normal conversations." See what happened there? The person who was yelled at is now being told they're the problem for accurately remembering being yelled at. That's gaslighting. They're training you to distrust your own perception and accept theirs as the authoritative version of reality. And it escalates. When you assert your memory or perception, they start questioning your mental stability. Are you sure you're okay? You seem really off lately. Maybe you should see someone about this. They're weaponizing mental health concerns to make you doubt yourself even more. Genuine concern about someone's well-being is supportive and kind. This is using the language of concern to make you question your sanity. Over time, this has a devastating effect. You start checking with them before trusting your own memory. You preface everything with "I think" or "I feel like," instead of confidently stating facts you know to be true. You've stopped trusting yourself and started deferring to their version of events automatically. Sometimes they take it even further by telling others that you're confused, forgetful, or going through something. This preemptively discredits you if you try to tell people what's happening in the relationship. If friends or family start treating you like you're unreliable or mentally unstable, consider whether your partner has been planting those seeds. Jordan experienced this exactly. Their partner would make plans, then deny they'd ever agreed to them. "We never said we'd go to your parents this weekend." But Jordan had text messages confirming the plan. When shown the texts, the partner said, "That's not what I meant by that message. You're interpreting it wrong." Over months, Jordan started recording conversations just to prove things happened. When the partner discovered this, their response was chilling. "The fact that you feel you need to record me shows you have serious trust issues. This is really concerning behavior." Jordan ended up in therapy convinced something was wrong with her memory. The therapist identified what was actually happening: gaslighting. Jordan's memory was fine. Their partner was systematically undermining her reality to maintain control. Here's the psychology. When someone you love consistently denies your reality, it creates cognitive dissonance, psychological distress from holding two conflicting beliefs. Your brain resolves this by accepting their version of events because the alternative, that your partner is deliberately manipulating you, is too painful to accept. That's exactly how gaslighting works and why it's so effective in intimate relationships. So here's what you do. Document everything. Keep a journal of conversations, agreements, events. Having a record protects your reality when they try to deny it. Trust your initial perception. Your first reaction to something is usually accurate. Don't let them talk you out of what you know you experienced. Seek external validation. Talk to friends or therapists about specific incidents. If multiple people confirm your memory, trust that over your partner's denial. And name the tactic directly. You're gaslighting me. I know what I remember, and I'm not going to let you convince me otherwise. Understand this. Gaslighting is psychological abuse. If it continues after being named and confronted, the relationship is not safe for your mental health. That's not an overreaction. That's protecting yourself from someone actively trying to make you doubt your own mind. Sign 2. They use your emotions against you. Emotional manipulation and guilt tripping. Now let's talk about how manipulative partners weaponize your emotions. Your empathy, your guilt, your fear, your love. They don't respect your feelings, they exploit them as tools for control. Here's the most common version. You express a need or set a boundary, and instead of respecting it, they make you feel guilty. After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me? I can't believe you do this to me. Your reasonable need gets reframed as you being selfish, ungrateful, or intentionally hurtful. And over time, this trains you to stop advocating for yourself because advocating for yourself makes you feel like a terrible person. Then there's the emotional hostage situation. They threaten to harm themselves or have extreme emotional reactions if you don't do what they want. If you leave me, I don't know what I'll do. You're the only thing keeping me alive. I can't survive without you. They're making you responsible for their emotional regulation and their safety, and they're using your empathy against you. One person told me that every single time they tried to break up with their partner, the partner would have a complete breakdown and talk about not being able to live without them. They stayed for 2 more years because they felt responsible for their partner's well-being. That's not love. That's hostage-taking with emotions as the weapon. Watch for the victim reversal too. This one is particularly crazy-making. You bring up something they did that hurt you, something legitimate that you need to address, and somehow, by the end of the conversation, you're comforting them. They cry. They get upset about your accusation. They talk about how hard they try and how they're never good enough for you. Your pain becomes entirely about their feelings, and you never get resolution for your original concern. You brought up that they forgot your birthday. Somehow, you're now apologizing for making them feel bad about forgetting your birthday. See the problem? Then there's the love bombing and withdrawal cycle. They shower you with affection, attention, promises, gifts. Everything feels amazing. Then, suddenly, they withdraw completely. Cold, distant, unavailable. The withdrawal is punishment for not doing what they wanted. The love bombing is the reward for compliance. And you find yourself doing things you don't actually want to do just to get back to the good version of them. This is intermittent reinforcement, and it's psychologically addictive. It's more powerful than consistent reward because the unpredictability keeps you hooked, always trying to figure out what you did wrong or what you need to do to get the good version back. Sometimes they use comparison manipulation. My ex would never make me feel this way. You used to be so fun. What happened to you? They compare you unfavorably to others or to an idealized past version of you. You end up trying to measure up to an impossible standard just to keep their approval. Casey experienced the guilt manipulation intensely. They wanted to spend one night with friends after their partner had monopolized all their free time. When Casey said, "I need one night a week with my friends," the partner responded with tears, "I guess I'm not enough for you. I've been trying so hard to make you happy, but apparently I'm failing. My last partner didn't need other people. We were enough for each other."
Casey immediately felt guilty, apologized profusely, and canceled plans with friends. This pattern repeated until Casey had no social life outside the relationship. The guilt manipulation worked perfectly because Casey's empathy was weaponized against their own basic needs. Here's what you need to understand. If you consistently feel guilty for having basic needs or boundaries, that guilt is being manufactured, not earned. You are not responsible for managing your partner's emotions. Their feelings are theirs to regulate. When you bring up something they did that hurt you and the conversation becomes about their feelings about your hurt, call it out. "I brought up something you did. We're not discussing your feelings about my pain. We're discussing the actual issue." Stop rewarding manipulation with compliance. Let them be upset. Let them withdraw. Let them cry. Their emotional reaction is not your emergency, and you are not responsible for fixing it by abandoning your own needs. Sign 3. They isolate you from your support system, then make you dependent on them. This is the sign people miss most often until it's already happened, and it's the most dangerous one on this list. Manipulative partners systematically separate you from friends, family, and anyone who might provide perspective on the relationship. Once you're isolated, you become completely dependent on them for validation, reality checking, and support, which gives them total control. And here's why it's so hard to see. It happens gradually, and it's disguised as love, concern, or preference. They don't usually forbid you from seeing people outright. Instead, they make subtle negative comments about everyone in your life. Your friend seems kind of toxic, honestly. Your family doesn't really respect you. Have you noticed that? I don't trust that person. They give me bad vibes. Over time, these comments accumulate. You start second-guessing your relationships. You start feeling uncomfortable maintaining them because your partner has planted doubt about everyone you're close to. And eventually, you voluntarily distance yourself from people, making the isolation seem like your choice rather than their design. Then there are the scheduling conflicts and guilt. Whenever you make plans with others, they suddenly need you. They have an emergency. They get upset. You're choosing them over me. I guess I'm not a priority to you. One person told me that every single time they planned to see their sister, their partner would pick a fight the night before or have some kind of crisis the day of. Eventually, it was just easier to stop making plans than to deal with the constant drama. They also create an us against the world narrative. No one understands us. People are jealous of what we have. They don't want to see you happy. This creates an artificial bubble where the two of you are united against everyone else. And questioning the relationship starts to feel like betraying that united front. Watch for information control too. They want to know everything about your interactions with others, but they share nothing about theirs. They read your texts, they monitor your calls, they get upset when you have private conversations. You start hiding normal interactions because explaining them to your partner causes problems. And here's what makes this so dangerous. Once you're isolated, they become your only source of validation, advice, social interaction, and reality checking. You've lost the ability to get outside perspective on whether the relationship is healthy. You have no one to tell you that what you're experiencing isn't normal. Taylor's story shows how this progresses. Taylor's partner didn't like Taylor's best friend from the beginning. Small comments. She seems fake. Did you notice how she talks about you behind your back? After months of this, Taylor started seeing the red flags their partner kept pointing out. Plans with the friend became less frequent. Then the partner started having problems with Taylor's family. They don't respect your boundaries. Your mom is so manipulative, can't you see that? Taylor began limiting family contact. Within 2 years, Taylor's entire social life was their partner. No friends, minimal family. And when the relationship became verbally abusive, Taylor had no one to call, no one to validate that the treatment was wrong, nowhere to go. The isolation had been so gradual that Taylor didn't realize it had happened until trying to leave and discovering complete social and emotional dependence on the person who was abusing them. This is why isolation is the most critical sign. It's the foundation that enables all other manipulation and abuse to escalate unchecked. Without outside support, you have no resources to help you recognize what's happening or to leave. So reconnect immediately. Reach out to people you've drifted from. Explain that you've been distant and you want to rebuild the relationship. Most people will understand. Ignore your partner's commentary on your people. Stop letting their opinions of your friends and family dictate your relationships with them. Maintain a separate social life. Have friends, hobbies, activities that are yours alone. This isn't abandoning your relationship. This is maintaining healthy autonomy. And if your partner cannot tolerate you having other meaningful relationships, that's not love, that's control. Trust outside perspectives. If multiple people in your life express concern about your partner, listen to them. They can see things you can't from inside the relationship. And recognize isolation for what it is, abuse. It's not love. Love doesn't separate you from everyone who cares about you. Control does. Before we get to sign number 4, if you're recognizing these patterns and realizing your relationship isn't what you thought it was, hit that subscribe button. We break down toxic relationship dynamics so you can see clearly and protect yourself. All right, let's keep going. Sign 4. They punish you for independence and reward you for compliance. Manipulative partners use a system of rewards and punishments to shape your behavior. When you comply with what they want, you get affection, kindness, approval, everything's great. When you assert independence, set boundaries, or do something they don't like, you get withdrawal, anger, the silent treatment. Over time, you learn to suppress your own needs and preferences to avoid punishment and earn reward. The silent treatment is one of the most common punishment tools. When you do something they don't like, they go completely silent, ignoring you for hours or days. And this isn't needing space to cool down after an argument. That's healthy and normal. This is deliberate punishment through withdrawal. They're letting you know that your behavior was unacceptable by removing their presence and affection. And here's why it works so well. The silent treatment is psychologically painful. It activates the same brain regions as physical pain. You become desperate to fix things, to get them to talk to you again, to return to normal. And you'll do almost anything to make that happen, including apologizing for things you didn't do wrong or abandoning boundaries you needed to set. Notice the mood-based dynamic too. The entire emotional atmosphere of the relationship depends on their mood, which you can't predict or control. You're constantly trying to gauge what kind of mood they're in and adjust your behavior accordingly. One person described coming home from work and immediately scanning for signals. Good mood meant they could relax. Bad mood meant they'd spend the evening walking on eggshells, trying not to upset their partner further. That's not a relationship. That's living in a state of hypervigilance where you're responsible for managing someone else's emotions through your perfect behavior. Then there's affection as currency. Affection, sex, kindness, attention, all given or withheld based on your behavior. When you comply with what they want, you get warmth and connection. When you don't, you get coldness and rejection. This creates a transactional dynamic where love feels conditional on obedience rather than being the steady foundation of the relationship. And watch what happens when you try to set boundaries. Any boundary you set is met with disproportionate anger, hurt, or punishment. I need some time alone becomes a betrayal they punish you for. Eventually, you stop setting boundaries entirely because the consequences are too severe. They've successfully trained you that your autonomy is unacceptable.
Over time, this creates what psychologists call learned helplessness. You stop trying to assert yourself because nothing you do changes the dynamic. You've learned that compliance is the only way to have peace, so you comply. You can't remember the last time you advocated for yourself without anxiety. You've been conditioned into submission. Morgan's partner used the silent treatment as their primary tool. Any disagreement, anytime Morgan expressed a different opinion or made plans without checking first, resulted in days of complete silence. No responses to texts, silent treatment at home. Morgan would beg to know what was wrong, apologize profusely, promise to do better. Eventually, Morgan stopped disagreeing entirely, stopped making independent plans, stopped expressing preferences that might differ from their partners. It was easier to just go along with whatever the partner wanted than to endure the psychological torture of being ignored for days. Morgan didn't even realize this was abuse until a friend pointed out that Morgan had stopped being themselves entirely, just a shell, performing whatever kept the peace. Here's the psychology. This is operant conditioning. The same principles used to train animals are being used on you, and the unpredictability, not knowing when reward or punishment will come, makes it even more powerful than consistent consequences. You're constantly trying to figure out the rules, constantly adjusting, constantly performing to avoid punishment. So stop rewarding the silent treatment. Don't chase them when they withdraw. Let them sit in their silence. You are not responsible for fixing their choice to punish you. Name the pattern directly. You punish me when I set boundaries and reward me when I comply. That's not love, that's control. Reclaim your boundaries. Start setting them again, even if it triggers their punishment response. Your autonomy is non-negotiable. And if the punishment escalates beyond emotional withdrawal, if there are threats, physical intimidation, anything that makes you feel unsafe, create a safety plan and get out. And if you're watching this and wondering whether you might be the one doing some of these things in your relationship, that's actually a healthy sign of self-awareness. Check out our next video on the 5 signs you're the one being manipulative. It's a self-awareness check that everyone in relationships should watch. Links in the description. But first, let's cover sign number 5. Sign number 5. They rewrite history and reframe reality to avoid accountability. The final sign is about what happens when you confront a manipulative partner about their behavior. They never simply apologize and take responsibility. Instead, they rewrite what happened, reframe the context, or shift blame so they're never accountable for the harm they caused. This keeps you in perpetual confusion where you can never get resolution or genuine change. You confront them about something specific they did, and they tell you a completely different version of events. A version that minimizes or erases their responsibility entirely. That's not what happened. And they're not just misremembering, they're strategically reframing to avoid accountability. Or they use the context excuse. Yes, I said that, but you're taking it out of context. They claim that with the right understanding of context, their harmful behavior becomes acceptable. One person told their partner that the constant criticism was damaging. The partner's response, "You're taking things out of context. I'm just trying to help you improve. If you understood my intentions, you wouldn't be upset." But the context doesn't change that the words were hurtful and the impact was harmful. They're using context as a shield against accountability. Watch for blame deflection too. You bring up their behavior and they immediately redirect to your behavior. "Well, you did this last month. You're not perfect either." Your issue never gets addressed because the conversation always becomes about your flaws. Healthy partners can stay focused on one issue at a time and address it. Manipulators deflect to avoid ever being held accountable. Then there's the victimhood claim. When you confront them, they position themselves as the victim of your confrontation. "I can't believe you'd attack me like this. You always make me the bad guy. Nothing I do is ever good enough for you." And somehow, you end up comforting them about the issue you raised. This makes confrontation so unrewarding that you stop trying to address problems. And notice the apology pattern, or lack thereof. If they do apologize, it's never genuine or specific. "I'm sorry you feel that way." That's not an apology for their action, it's dismissing your feelings. "I'm sorry, but you..." The word "but" negates everything before it. A genuine apology is specific, unconditional, and takes full responsibility. If you can't remember the last time they gave you one, they're avoiding all accountability. Alex confronted their partner about a pattern of breaking promises. The partner's response was masterful manipulation. "I never promised that. You must have misunderstood what I said. And honestly, if you weren't so demanding, I wouldn't feel pressure to agree to things in the moment just to keep the peace. So really, this is a problem you created by having such high expectations." Alex walked away from that conversation feeling completely confused. Did they misunderstand? Are they too demanding? Is this their fault?
The partner had successfully avoided all accountability for broken promises by rewriting what was said, reframing Alex as the problem, and never once acknowledging the actual issue. And this happened every single time Alex tried to raise a concern. Here's the psychology. Manipulators avoid accountability because admitting wrongdoing threatens their self-image and their control over you. If they acknowledge they were wrong, they have to change, and they don't want to change. They want you to accept their behavior. So, document conversations. Keep records so they can't rewrite what was said later. Refuse deflection. We're not discussing my behavior right now. We're discussing yours. We can address my issues separately. But right now, I need you to acknowledge what you did. Demand specific acknowledgement. I need you to acknowledge what you actually did, not give me your interpretation that erases your responsibility. And accept that they probably won't change. If someone cannot take accountability after multiple attempts to address issues, they won't suddenly start. This is who they are. Recognize this as a deal breaker. Relationships cannot be healthy without accountability. If your partner cannot own their behavior, the relationship cannot improve. It's that simple. Let's recap what we covered. Sign 1, they make you question your memory and perception through gaslighting, systematically undermining your ability to trust yourself. Sign 2, they use your emotions against you through guilt tripping and emotional manipulation, weaponizing your empathy to control you. Sign 3, they isolate you from your support system, creating complete dependence so you have no outside perspective or escape routes. Sign 4, they punish independence and reward compliance, conditioning you to suppress yourself to avoid punishment. And sign 5, they rewrite history and avoid accountability, ensuring problems never get resolved because they refuse to acknowledge reality. Here's what you need to understand. If you recognized multiple signs in this video, you're not in a difficult relationship. You're in a manipulative one. And manipulation doesn't get better with time, communication, or increased effort on your part. It gets worse. Because the point of manipulation is control. And the more you tolerate, the more control they take.
You might be thinking, but they love me, or it's not always like this, or I'm not perfect either. Those thoughts are exactly what manipulation creates: doubt, minimization, and self-blame. But love doesn't make you question your sanity. Love doesn't isolate you from everyone who cares about you. Love doesn't punish you for being yourself. What you're experiencing might be called love, but it's actually control. If this video helped you see patterns you've been making excuses for, subscribe to this channel. We break down toxic relationship dynamics so you can see clearly and make decisions that protect you. Drop a comment with which sign you recognized. You don't have to share details, but naming the pattern can be the first step to addressing it. You're not alone in this. And make sure you watch our next video on the 5 signs you're the one being manipulative. It's a self-awareness check that's crucial, because sometimes we need to look in the mirror too. That video will help you understand the difference between reacting to manipulation and being the manipulator. Don't miss it. You deserve a relationship where you feel safe being yourself, where your reality is respected, where you have autonomy and support. Anything less than that isn't love. It's manipulation. And you deserve so much better.